All right, so we learned about compute engine. Let's go learn about, I don't know, let's say databases. So what we'll do on the left-hand side here is scroll on down and let's go take a look for SQL. So there's Spanner and there's SQL. So Spanner, it's a relational like, it's its own variant of a relational database, but it's neither Postgres or MySQL. But if you were to be launching a web application, you'd probably want to just use the SQL service. So we'll go here and we'll launch ourselves our own SQL instance. I'll go ahead here and create an instance. And we have the option between MySQL, Postgres, and SQL Server. I am particular to Postgres, so I'll go ahead and click this. And we'll go up here, and so lowercase numbers, letters. So my relational database, or my Postgres. And we'll need a password, so we'll go ahead and generate one there. We'll show the password just so I don't have to figure that out later. And I need to dump that somewhere. So I'm just pasting it off screen. So just make sure you know where your password is. Postgres 13 seems fine to me. I like to launch things in Canada, so let's go look for Canada. There's Montreal. We have single zone and multi-zone. Now notice, does it show us the cost here? It's not, but I can tell you, if you have it in multiple zones, it should cost more because you're running redundant servers. So I'm gonna go single zone. Okay, I want it to be cost effective, all right? We could even specify the zones. I'm gonna say any, I don't care where it's gonna go. We can customize our configuration options. So let's open it up because we want, again, the lowest cost for our example here. So we got high memory, standard, shared core. Shared core sounds cheap. We have lightweight. I'm just checking the values here over on the left-hand side. So look at high memory, 26 gigabytes. That's insane. I don't even have a gaming computer that much. We go over here. Now we're down to 7 gigabytes. That's lightweight. Nothing. I don't see anything changing there, but I imagine it's cheaper. Then we have a shared core, 600 megabytes. This has to be cheap. All right. So this is the one we're going to choose. For storage, SSD is fine. We're not really doing anything real, so I'm going to choose HDD. That should be cheaper, right? I'm going to go 10 gigabytes because I'm not doing anything real. Enable automatic storage increase. That's something you'd want to have, but for our purposes, I'm turning that off. Do we want to have a public IP address? Well, I do because I want to connect to it, maybe do a query on it, so we'll leave that there. You might want to turn that off if you're running a secure workload. Generally, you would, and you just only allow access through, the firewalls and stuff like that. I do not need backups today. We don't care when the maintenance windows is. Flags are fine. We don't need insights. Insights are nice if you want to query and see information. I don't think this costs extra, but I'm going to leave it off anyway. We don't need it today. We can set labels as per usual. So I can say env. Dev. Should have been dev last time too. And so I'll go ahead and create this instance. Okay. Now I didn't specify a database name, so maybe it's just the identifier. All right. So I'll just wait for this to provision. I'll see you back here in a moment, okay? All right, so after waiting a little while there, it looks like our instance is ready. It took about, 10 minutes for that to spin up. Not too bad. And so down below, we have the public IP address, the outgoing IP address, the connection name. But looks like there's an easy way to connect with the Cloud Shell. So let's click it and see if it auto-fills it in for us. That'd be really, really nice. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I guess we'll find out here in a moment, right? Looks like it is. So it says gcloud SQL connect my Postgres. Puts in the username, which is Postgres. So it looks good. Let's go ahead and hit enter. Might have entered that in twice there. Permission denied. Cloud SQL admin API has not been used in this project before or is disabled. Enable it by visiting this link. So I guess that's what we'll have to go ahead and do. So we'll go and click that link there. And we'll give it a moment. Say enable. Usually this doesn't take too long. Sometimes you can tell by going up to the top, so that's good. So what we'll do is go back and hit up. We'll hit enter and see if it connects now. allowing your IP address for incoming connection for 5 minutes. Sounds cool. Can I do stuff? We'll say \d. Oh no, we're waiting. Okay. Well, not sure what's going on there. That's not too clear, but I mean, that's not usually how we connect to a Postgres instance. What I would do is collect the names and use something like Table Plus, and that's what I want to do here. So that's what we're going to do, okay? All right, so what I got here is Table Plus, and this is just a way of connecting to Postgres instances. So I'll go ahead and make a new connection to Postgres. This is free software, by the way. You can go and download it. Works on Windows, Mac, and etc. And so we got to fill in a bunch of these things. So we need the host. We need the username and the password. So the username is Postgres. Okay. The password I saved earlier, so I'm going to bring that on over here and paste that in. The database name would be what? It could be, this is connection name, but that's not very useful. I mean, my Postgres is probably, because this looks like this is probably the name of the database. That's probably the database name there is my Postgres. What would the host be? Usually, like if it's AWS, they have a connection URL. I suppose you could use an IP address. I'm just not used to having that. So we have a public IP address and an outgoing IP address. Let's try the public IP address here, 35.203.16.181. We'll say GCP my Postgres here. And so it looks like we have mostly everything. The default port is 5432, so we'll just do 5432. We'll hit test and see if that works. Fingers crossed. Okay, so what I'm waiting for is this to go green. It might not go green. Let's just try connect instead. On Mac, it goes green. It'll say, hey, you're connected. And it did not connect. Okay, so that's fine. So what we'll do is we'll give it a little bit of check here. So what else would we need to do? Give me back. I'll be back here in a moment, okay? You know, something I was just thinking is, you know, it looks like all our configuration settings are correct, but maybe our firewall is just not open. So what I'm going to do is make a new tab here, and we'll give it a go. It's all about trying things on the fly here. Nothing's too hard for the cloud. And we'll go firewall. I just want firewall rules. Well, that's App Engine, so we'll go here. Because I imagine this must be in a VPC, so what we'll do is go here and create ourselves a new rule. And we'll say my Postgres rule. And we'll go down, we'll let ingress, allow, specify targets. We're just going to do all instances in the networks with a particular IP range. So I'm just going to get my IP address like I did last time. So my IP address, right? Then we'll grab it there. We'll drop it in /32. We'll say TCP 5432. We'll go ahead and create that rule. So now that I have this rule on 5432, which is the port for Postgres, let's go ahead. Well, I guess we got to wait. We should probably be patient. There is the rule. I'm going to go ahead and hit test. See if it works now. Probably it's not going to work if I have that colon in the name in the database. We'll try again. Just connect here. That doesn't work. We'll just edit it again. Test connection. Is the server running? 5432. Still no good. Okay, well, I'll give it another try, okay? Give me a second. Okay, so another thought I had was I was just poking around, and we have users and databases here on the left-hand side. So here we have Postgres, and then here we have Postgres again. So there is no database called, I mean, again, I haven't tried it, but there is no database called my Postgres database. That's just what I wrote in because I assumed it's based on the instance name. That's just the name of the instance internally for GCP. So what would happen if I was to type in Postgres instead here and then test this connection? Would this work? Because to me, like, this would make a lot more sense, right? And if that doesn't work, I would say that we have the database right and the username's right, but maybe there's something wrong with the host or the IP address or the connection. So we go over to users, that looks fine. We go to the databases, this one's called Postgres, so that is fine. We go to connections, and it's public IP to authorize a network or use Cloud SQL. So we said public IP address is fine. You do not have an authorized any external networks to connect to your Cloud SQL. External applications can still connect through Cloud Proxy. So if we don't have a network, maybe that's our problem. So, whoops. What if I go and grab my IP address here? Maybe that's our problem. /32, my home address. We'll hit done. We'll hit save. Scroll on down below here. Here it says you can manage if you're encrypted, public IP address, only allow unsecure connections are allowed to connect. And that's fine. We just want to be able to use it. So what we'll do is go back here, try this again. We'll hit test. And this thing is super buggy, but notice that it's editing our Postgres. So I'll see you back here in a moment, okay? Okay, so we waited a short amount of time, and what I'm going to do is go edit, and notice my connection's Postgres, the database password I put in, the host name, and if I go ahead and hit connect, it now connects. So I don't think that firewall rule mattered at all. That's for VM instances. So I probably can go back and just delete it out just to make sure, that is the case. So we just type in firewall here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this rule. All right. And now just to do a sanity check. It's not uncommon for cloud service providers to have, that stuff messaged separately. Like in AWS, you have security groups that are like DB security groups that are specialized. So to me, that's not a surprise that was like that. We'll go ahead and hit edit, hit connect. Can we still connect? Yes. Okay, so that's how we had to grant us access. Now this is Postgres. This is the default table. You really wouldn't be making, or database, you wouldn't be making stuff inside of that. What you'd probably want to do is go ahead and create a new database. So what we can do, go back to our instance here, close some tabs out so we don't get confused. And probably what we'd have to do is create a new database in here. So we go here and I'd say, my database. Okay, we'll hit create. And we'll give that a moment to create. Probably the Postgres user is a super user, so we can do whatever we want there. But if we go and enter a connection, we're going to leave out the database. It should allow us to connect to all of the databases here. So it should show us Postgres and the other one. We might have to select our database, so Control K or... oops, that's not it. Control K. Okay, so there we go. So we can see we have Cloud SQL admin, my database, and Postgres. So I'll go ahead and click into Postgres here. All right. And there are no tables, but I can go and maybe I can make a new table here. Yep. So there we go. So we say ID, and I will add a new column. It will say name. We'll make that a varchar. Let me just drop down, change it to varchar. Or text, I just prefer text. Okay. And we'll go ahead and save that, create untitled table. Oh, we got to name the table, so it'd say users here. And now what does it not like here? 0 length identifier, create table, undefined table. Well, I just named it up here. The primary ID would be ID up here. Can I save it now? Maybe it doesn't like this one. Hold on here. I'm doing Control S, by the way, to save it. I never create tables this way. I always go through and make a manual connection, but I'm giving it a go here today for the first time. So 0 length delimited identified at or near, double quotations. Just want to be named over here, maybe? I mean, it's named right. I don't know. It doesn't want it. If that doesn't work, that's totally fine. The other way we could do this is, I'm just thinking here, because if we, I don't have Postgres client installed on my local machine. I don't think I do. So I don't think I can use that. I can try. Let's see here. No, I don't think I do. So the only way I'd have to do that is probably through Cloud Shell. And through Cloud Shell, we would have to allow the IP address I don't know how much of a pain that is. But my point is that, you know, like, it's not necessary for the exam to know how to set up a table, but the idea is to establish a connection. I just wanted to show you how to do that. And so I kind of feel like we've kind of satisfied it there and solved all the stuff that we wanted to do. But what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and destroy this, and we're all good to go, okay? And what we'll do is just checkbox that off or click into there. We'll go ahead and hit delete. And we will put in the instance name. There we go. And it's deleting. I'm pretty confident that will delete. And that's it there. So we're done with that. We'll move on to the next.